welcome back to some more of my survival worlds. And I have very, very grim news. The buddy from last episode is dead. That's actually not even his corpse. I logged on earlier, and he was already gone. So then I brought another bunny over here, and I figured out what happened. The culprit is right here, caught red-handed. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab another rabbit, I guess. But this guy will stay in this barrel over here in memory. In memory of that first little bunny. I kind of forgot that cats kill rabbits. Wasn't even really thinking about that, to be honest. Okay, just follow me. Get on inside. And you should be safe in here from the cats. And you're just gonna hang out right there. You be good, my man. All right, so last episode, I asked for some name suggestions for the original bunny, and also a zombie camel that we have over there trapped in that sand. And I've chosen 2 suggestions. The problem is I don't have enough iron to make an anvil. I have 18 pieces of iron. So the first thing I have to do today is go get more. And I think the way I'm gonna get this iron is by actually going back towards my old civilization a little bit. I did also say last episode that I wasn't really going to be doing this. I mentioned that I was just going to continue exploring off in this direction, like towards the Badlands. But I kind of just had a thought about it, and I kind of don't really want to limit myself to only going that way. Considering there is still a lot in this direction that is unexplored, even if it is already rendered in. Like, a lot of the times I was just flying over this stuff, and I never actually, like, explored it on foot. So I feel like this is actually okay. And the specific area that I'm going to be going back to is actually in this book here, the Book of Everywhere. This is like the book I have where I put a whole bunch of different coordinates down. So, where is it? Mountain for Iron. I put this in here a little while ago, and it is a pretty huge mountain back in this direction that looked like it had a ton of iron in it. So I'm going to head over there because I actually haven't explored that yet. Like, I haven't actually went back there to gather the iron. So I feel like I should make use out of this book. It's like 3,500 blocks away, so it's going to take me a little while to get there. But I'll be back with you guys once I do. All right, I think we're approaching the mountain that I had in my book. And also, there is a village here. Very good chance that this village is already looted by me, but let me see. I saw a blacksmith over here. Might as well check. If I came to this village late enough, there's a chance I actually didn't loot it. I have no idea if I looted this or not. But, got a free iron helmet out of it. I'll definitely take that. Oh, this mountain is actually different. Yeah, this isn't the same mountain that I had in my book, but I might as well just go through here and collect up all the iron. The one that I was referring to is probably over there somewhere. But there should be plenty of iron up here for me to grab. So let me run around this entire mountain grabbing up everything. I'll probably take some more coal as well. Can never have too much coal. But yeah, let me do this for a little while, and then I'll be back to show you everything that I was able to get. All right, I have an absolute ton of iron now. We have 6 stacks, 6 and like 3/4 stacks of iron, and then about 2.5 stacks of coal. We have a lot of stuff. I'm telling you, dude, I'm telling you, these are the best places to get iron from. It's just so abundant. I really have only been here too for like 40 minutes. It's definitely been less than an hour. This is pretty easily my favorite way of getting iron, so you guys should definitely employ this strategy too. But I'm going to grab up this last little bit right here, and then I have to take the very, very long journey back home, where we can finally name the animals from last time. So I'll see you guys back at home. Alright, I'm now back home. I'm smelting down all of the iron that we gathered. 2 of the stacks have actually already smelted. So let's go ahead and craft up the first anvil here of Season 2. I'm going to put it right on top of that blast furnace. And let's grab up 2 name tags. How are you doing this, man? How'd you get the lead to go through the stairs? I'm guessing you probably just walked around, but that looks really strange. Anyway, though, we have the 2 name tags actually named, so let's go ahead and name this bunny. You'll forever be known now as Optimus Prime. That's a great name. Massive shout out to OK Xerox for that name suggestion. I think it fits him perfectly. All right, what's good, Camel? Your name is now Camelot, aka Bob. And that name comes from Malinsvik? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly at all. I'm so sorry if I'm not, but thank you so much for the name suggestion. This guy definitely feels like a Bob to me. Let's also finally get him out of his little enclosure. Let's bring him back to the base. Now, horses can swim in the game now. Can camels also swim? Yes. They can't do a little dash across the water, though. That's fine. We'll get there one day. Very slowly. And I'm just going to have my man Bob hooked up over here. I'll eventually make him a little, like, enclosure like this, but for now, you can just kind of stay attached to the cow pen. Also, on my way home from the mountain range, I stopped by a village and found 21 potatoes. So we finally have these to actually go ahead and plant. I'm going to make a crop field very similar to this, around this tree over here. But I want to wait to do that just a little bit longer, because I actually want to throw another building over here first, and then we can kind of use this crop field to connect up the two buildings, much like I did with the starter house and the farm building from last time. Now, to be honest, I don't really have too much of a purpose for this new building that I'm about to build, but I think I do have a color palette kind of figured out. And I'm sure I can come up with a purpose for this building at some point while gathering materials. But let me go ahead and go over this color palette real quick. I had to run around a little bit just to grab some materials for this little display, but I want this build to be orange. And to accomplish that, I think I'm going to mainly be using orange terracotta. But I want to break this up quite a bit because the repeating terracotta texture I'm just not a huge fan of. And I'm going to do that in a couple different ways. One way here is by working in a little bit of this acacia wood. It's not too different, but it just looks a little bit faded. I could even extend that further to some acacia planks as well. Maybe I'll do something like that, I don't know. But I really like what the stripped acacia looks like with the orange terracotta. Like I said, it just looks like the same block, just a little bit faded, like it's been out in the sun for a pretty long time, which, I mean, this build should be. I'm in the desert. But alongside this, I also want to work in a little bit of this red sand and the smooth red sandstone. Probably in this type of fashion, just to get even lighter than this block here. And then for the little covered sections, we're going to be using a little bit of oak wood. So oak for the fences, oak for the actual roof, and then we're gonna have some mud brick walls on the bottom to make the fences look a little bit more supported. So this is gonna be the color palette for the new build. I think this is gonna look nice in the area, and even if it is a pretty drastically different color, I think this does fit a desert vibe pretty nicely. So let me go gather up all these different materials in a quick time lapse, and then I'll be back whenever I figure out what the actual purpose of this build is going to be. I have about half a chest full now of building blocks. This definitely won't be enough to finish off the entire building, but that's all right. If I have to go gather materials like halfway through, I don't mind doing that. I'm pretty used to doing that at this point, considering I only build in survival. Not only, okay, mainly. I've built like 2 or 3 things in creative first, but you know what I mean. Mainly building in survival, I usually have to take a break at some point and go gather up more materials, but that's fine. And I actually think I have finally thought of what this building is going to be. This building is going to house a super smelter and a lava farm. That's going to be very useful for me because, you know, I'm using a lot of smooth sandstone in this village so far, and my main source of that sandstone is this village, but that's going to run out pretty shortly. And after that, I'm going to have to smelt down regular sandstone to get it. And if I ever want to use smooth red sandstone, I'm going to have to smelt down red sandstone to get that block. So I think having a super smelter and a lava farm makes a lot of sense. Let me go ahead and take a quick nap, and then we can start building. And I'm going to cut it to just another quick time lapse. We now have another building in the area, so this village is definitely coming alive. I do think I need to start adding some like diagonal builds or something at some point, because these are all looking a little bit too similar in terms of their orientation, but we'll get there. Yeah, this building looks pretty good, I think. I really like the shape of this one. I think it is a good little contrast to the farm building. Makes a cool view, I think, with this like palm tree in the middle. And also the interior is done, and you'll realize that there's a couple levers here. I'll explain those in a second. But as for the interior, right when you walk in, we have a little storage area We have a small like wood gathering area over here as well. And then here is the lava farm and the super smelter. It's a very tiny super smelter, but it's the exact same one I built in season 1, and this supplied me perfectly fine. I'll put a link to the video where I got this from in the description if anyone wants to copy this one. It's an incredibly easy super smelter to build. But those levers on the outside, along with this one here, are needed because I think it's going to be easier from free cam. There's 4 powered rails here. And normally you put a redstone block in the middle to power all those rails. I just don't have enough redstone. So I had to do this the old-fashioned way. But yeah, we have 10 cauldrons now that are all dripping with lava, so we can kind of gather this up as we need it. And then there are 8 furnaces over here. So we should have a huge supply of lava in no time. Then if you kind of climb upstairs, we have another little decorated area. We have a small spot with some moss and a couple different pieces of foliage. Same thing out here on this balcony with a little table as well. And then over here is just a little bit more storage. And then all the way up top, I'm pretty sure it's completely empty. It's not entirely empty. We have 2 of these plants. So yeah, I think this building turned out well. It's a good addition to the area. I'm definitely glad it's here. But now with this built, next up, I want to make another farm connecting these 2 buildings in the exact style as this one over here. Thing is, though, I don't really have any materials for this. So I'm going to have to go ahead and grow some azaleas and also grow some moss. But I don't think 11 bone meal is going to quite be enough. So let me head down to the skeleton spawner, which I actually designed a little bit better in between episodes. I'm pretty sure I did not show this off in this video, but this room down here is now just slightly more decorated. It's nothing crazy, but there's room for an enchanting table over here whenever we get some diamonds, and we also have a ton of storage. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some of these bones. We already have a lot. And that should be all the bone meal that I'm going to need. It is so nice that we found a skeleton spawner. And look at this. I'm getting value out of this bed already. This is the exact reason it's here. And I could just escape out of the window. If I... Hold on. And I could just escape out of the window. And I can just escape out of the window. Okay, so let me grow a couple of these azalea trees. Okay, I think this should probably be enough leaves. 2 full azalea trees, I think, will be enough. Yeah, a little over 2 stacks of normal azalea leaves and then 46 flowering azaleas. Okay, that should be plenty. Honestly, I feel like this 11 bone meal might have actually been enough. But let me head over here and let me continue converting the ground into moss. I don't really want these stony shores here anyway. So I feel like converting them into moss makes a lot of sense. And again, I'm not going to need too much of this stuff. I probably only used like 5 moss blocks in the first farm, so already having 53 is a bit overkill. But I'll probably use the rest in the future somewhere. And then I should also go ahead and get some more grass. Some more short grass from the plains. Because like you can see over here, I used a little bit of that in the farm as well. Don't need too much of this stuff either. 27 should be plenty. I think the last thing that I'm going to need is just some dirt. So let me see if we have any dirt in the storage room. Oh, we're living pretty, dude. We got 5. Man. So let's definitely head over here to the plains and grab a little bit more dirt. I think I'm just going to go until both of these shovels break. Okay, about 4.5 stacks of dirt. I really hope that's enough. And I'm also going to grab a couple of these dry grass blocks. So let's get the short dry grass and the tall dry grass. I feel like using a few of those would also look pretty decent. And seeing as we only have 21 potatoes, I think I'm going to fill the rest of the farm in with just wheat seeds. All right, I think I have everything that I'm going to need to go ahead and make this farm. And while I'm doing this, I'm also going to go ahead and answer some questions from last episode. I asked you guys to leave some questions last time for a Q&A segment in the next video, and I got a bunch of questions, so I definitely want to go ahead and answer some of these. First question is from my man, Headstrong Gaming. You said you were a little too excited about stealing another man's pants. Okay, that was from, I killed like a zombie or a skeleton or something and got the chainmail leggings off him. Makes my question for the Q&A, why do you like depantsing people? Okay, it's just because it's chainmail. Any other type of armor, I wouldn't care about. But chainmail is the best. They broke at some point. But it's a simple answer, okay? If you saw a dude walking around in chainmail armor, would you not want them? Mystery Brick 3000 asked me, what is your favorite biome in Minecraft? I mean, it's kind of a tough question, because I don't really know if I know. You can never really go wrong with a good old plains biome, especially since like the terrain update with like the huge mountains and everything. I think the plains biome with like a huge snowy mountain in the background is probably my favorite like looking biome in terms of, you know, like a backdrop, like where to build. That's probably my favorite spot to actually make like a starter base. But I also really, really like the coral reefs. They're not too practical to like build in, but I think they look really, really pretty. So it's one of those two for sure. Jordan Thompson 1575 asks if I can give a list of what mods and shaders I use for my videos. I get asked this question a lot about what mods I use. So I'm just gonna put a screenshot on the screen now of my mods folder. Those are all of the mods that I use in pretty much every single one of my videos. And then as for my shaders, I really only use Complementary Unbound. I have a couple other ones here too, but I really only use these ones. Bald Eagle 10 with the next question. First off, says congrats on 100K. Thank you so much. But their question is, they've been thinking about dipping their toes into creating some content, was wondering what your schedule looks like now that you are full-time. How long do you take to edit videos versus recording time? I'm gonna go craft up a new iron shovel as I do this. But my schedule sort of goes like this. So in the mornings, I will usually edit just the previous day's footage, just because I usually like to wait for my voice to warm up a little bit. If I try to record directly in the morning, it doesn't usually sound too good. So I'll usually spend a couple hours doing that. Kind of depends on how much I recorded the previous day. But typically I would say like 2 to 3 hours every morning I'll spend editing. And then I would say I probably spend anywhere between like 4 and 6 hours then recording later in the day. I'll typically meet my fiance for lunch throughout the day. So like my length of recording kind of depends on what I do for that. But it's usually, I would say like 4 to 6 hours recording most days. And like some videos take way longer to record than others, as you can imagine. Like the 100-day videos, they just take like 2 weeks of doing that pretty much before I'm able to actually get them out. But I like editing this way because it doesn't really make me feel like I'm behind ever on my video. It feels like I'm always working towards something. Whereas like before, when I was working a normal job full-time, I would typically get everything recorded first and then edit everything all at once. And that was bad. That took so long because sitting down and editing for like 5 straight hours is awful. I hate that. So breaking it up like this has worked really well for me. But also like when it comes to creating content, it's all about like a personal balance. And I definitely ran out of dirt. That sucks. But it's all about like a personal balance. So you have to kind of try a few things before you figure out like what works best for you. Like what works for me might not work for you. So I definitely recommend like experimenting where you can. But that's my schedule. Genuine Wellness asks me, have you ever thought about adding mods to your Forever World? If so, which ones? And if not, why not? So obviously, like I just said a bit ago, I do have a bunch of mods installed, but I'm assuming you're talking about like game-changing mods and not just like aesthetic or like client-side stuff. So in terms of those, like mods that actually change any of the core aspects of the game, no, I probably will not be adding any of those to this world. I just like vanilla Minecraft. I don't know, it's kind of simple. There's not really too much more to it than that. I've tried to play modded Minecraft a couple times. It just never really stuck with me. Maybe one day I'll make like a modded Minecraft video. I wouldn't mind doing that in the future. I'm definitely not opposed, but when it comes to adding mods to my Forever World, probably not. Captain K MC asks, how do you take inspiration from other builders and not accidentally just build, copy, paste? The main way that I take inspiration from other creators is I just try to use their building techniques and kind of make them my own rather than just straight up like copying their builds like block for block. So for example, let's say I'm looking at a build on Twitter or something, and I really like the shadow they used in the walls. Like that gradient that they used, I thought looked really good. So I might end up taking that gradient for my own build, but I'll also change up the roof entirely, make it a completely different block than what they used, since I'm just taking something from the walls. And then I'll also maybe like change up the style entirely, like the build style. So let's say they used that gradient like a cyberpunk build. I'll use it in a medieval style build or something. So that way I don't like take their build entirely. I just kind of take like a really small aspect of it. I do think taking inspiration like that definitely comes with time though. Like you need to still be comfortable building in your own style first. And then you can kind of more easily like add to your own style by borrowing something from another creator, if that makes sense. That's kind of the way that I view taking inspiration, and I think it's been pretty helpful for me. So I hope that gave you at least a little bit of insight. Last question here is by Tajay McMuffin. Why do you have a sandwich in your profile picture, and what sandwich do you like most? Funnily enough, I've actually answered that second question before, but the reason why I have a sandwich in my profile picture is just because my name on Xbox, like my gamer tag, was Shramwich for the longest time. And then when I had someone make me a YouTube logo, I just asked them to put Shram inside of a sandwich, and that's what they came up with. And I love it. It's still like the perfect logo for me. I've never wanted to get it like reworked. That's been my logo since like 2017 as well, which is kind of funny. So there's not too much more to it than that. I just thought Shramwich sounded funny when I was making my Xbox gamer tag, and the artist made my vision come to life. And then as for my favorite sandwich, if you can consider this a sandwich, which, I mean, I don't know, I guess I do. It's probably a cheesesteak. But if you don't consider that a sandwich, maybe like a Reuben. Reubens are really good too. And that's definitely a sandwich. And when I say a cheesesteak, I mean one from Philly itself. Getting a cheesesteak elsewhere is usually like, okay, it's fine, it's whatever. A bad cheesesteak is still pretty good. But a cheesesteak in Philly at some like random like corner shop will absolutely change your life, I promise you. All right, but those are all the questions that I have for today. Thank you so much for everyone who asked some. And if you would like to know anything else about me, or just in general, if you want to know about the truth of the universe, you can ask me that too. And I'll answer it in the next episode. But now let me finish up the rest of this farm. I got all the dirt placed in. I just have to go through now the rest of these details. So let me get that done quick. After finishing up the farm, I wanted to go ahead and build the tree for the episode, and I stuck with another palm tree, but I wanted to come up with a smaller palm tree design that I can more easily replicate around this entire village. So that's what the plan was for today. But with this palm tree now done, let's throw on some shaders and take a look at what this village is turning into. The little village that we're building over here is turning out, I think, really, really nicely. Really big fan of what the whole area looks like so far. But the newest tree to the area is this tiny little palm tree. I was trying to come up with some like small palm tree design, just so I don't have to keep building these like big ones. And I think this looks okay. It's not great, honestly, next to this building. Maybe there's another block I could have used aside from these mud brick walls, because it kind of just blends in if you look at it from like this angle. But I think in general, it's okay. And like I said, I just wanted to come up with some kind of design for like a smaller palm tree that we can kind of scatter around everywhere. And I can reserve the bigger ones, you know, for like the backdrop. But even with this palm tree kind of blending into the skeleton spawner building, I think it still looks pretty good. And like I said, I'm really happy with how this area is turning out so far. There's a look at the new smelter building as well. I'm really happy with this one too. And then of course, the new crop field with mostly wheat, but this will be potatoes one day. But that is everything that I do have time for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. And I will talk to you guys soon. Hold on, let me position myself over here so you can get a nice backdrop. There we go. Bye.